Today is the day that we celebrate the birth, life, and well, if you wouldn't celebrate the untimely death, but the memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. How have we done since then? Over at Wonk Blog, there's a whole set of charts. It's just fascinating. The black unemployment rate has consistently been twice as high as that of the white unemployment rate for 50 years. That gap has not changed. For the past 50 years, black unemployment has been well above recession levels. The gap in household income between blacks and whites has not narrowed in 50 years. In fact, the wealth disparity between whites and blacks is even wider now than it was when Ronald Reagan came into office. The black poverty rate declined dramatically in the 60s and 70s. Reagan came into office, and it's been flatlined ever since then, since the 1980s. Black poverty at around 28%. It was 26% when, it was 30% when Reagan came into office. And it is 28% right now. Not good. Our schools are actually more segregated now than they were in 1980. This is progress. I think we have some work to do. Demetrius Minor is with us. He's a member of the National Advisory Council, Project 21, blogger and former conservative talk show host. Demetrius, Demetrius, speaks.com is his website. Demetrius, welcome to the program.
Hello, Tom. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. I've read this this blog that you sent out, and in it there's a quote, and I think you sent this along. You're quoting Bishop Ned, though. Said, Dr. King was a Bible-believing pastor who understood Scripture. He would be doing precisely as the Bible suggests and rejoicing about all the good that has been accomplished instead of sitting around and looking for something to complain about. When the average net worth of a white family in the United States is $79,000 and the average net worth of a black family in the United States is only $5,000, isn't it more than just complaining to point that out and suggest we should do something about it?
Well, just for clarification, that was not what I quoted. I think you're referring to a different individual. But in retrospect, when we think of the era that Dr. King lives in, and if you compare it to the era that me and you currently live in, I think that we both can agree that there has been some progress. Now, of course, in regards to economics, there's much work that needs to be done, and there's various ways to do that through jobs and through growth and the appropriate economic resources in different states. That's a whole different conversation right there.
Well, let's have that conversation. I mean, I've actually lived through both. I was born in 1951. I remember segregated water fountains. I remember whites only entrances when I was a little kid. I remember a park that was whites only. I remember segregated schools. And I grew up in the North, in Michigan, and I remember the '60s. I remember that the war on poverty, when Lyndon Johnson launched the war on poverty, not only did he cut the overall poverty rate in the United States more than in half over the following 6 years, but that he really created a launching pad for a black middle class that was just really having a hard time getting off the ground, with the possible exception of people who had been in the military throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So, then basically along came Reagan and said, we're going to stop all this stuff. And then Clinton, we're going to end welfare as we know it. Many of the Great Society programs have been dialed back. And basically ever since Reagan, it's been frozen. How can, as a black conservative, how can you justify that?
Well, Tom, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. Lyndon Baines Johnson intentionally said, if you go back and if you listen actually to the LBJ tapes and how he referred to the black population in the derogatory term that I will not use on your radio show, but basically how he will be using black people to vote for the Democratic Party for the next 200 years. if anything, the great.
Yeah, I've heard that quote quoted by conservatives before, and I can't find any original source for that. Can you provide me with one?
Well, I surely don't have it sitting in front of me. If that.
Well, this is. I mean, the last time I had this conversation with a conservative was about 4 or 5 months ago on my TV show, and he said that LBJ said that if he gave African Americans enough welfare that they would vote for Democrats for 200 years, and I didn't have a response, and so I came back and I started Googling it, and all I could find was sites that's either white supremacist or right wing sites that said that, and maybe a dozen different ways that it was quoted, or debunking sites saying LBJ never said any such thing. I cannot find a single original source for LBJ saying that. If you can provide it to me, I would very much appreciate it. But
I will provide you with, Tom, I will provide you with this. The Great Society has been detrimental to the black family. What it has done is it has increased dependency upon governmental programs and welfare programs, which was intentionally used to be a temporary means to living, but not permanent settlement. And if anything, what I have seen in my lifetime, I have seen different left-wing individuals use governmental programs as a way to keep the black individual captive instead of promoting free enterprise, free markets.
You can't be on welfare for more than 5 years now since the Clinton-Gingrich reforms without getting a job.
Well, what I'm telling you,
benefits go away.
I'm not just talking about welfare. I'm talking about the promotion of big nanny government, where the government will take care of you instead of promoting.
But the fact of the matter is that since these so-called reforms that rolled back what LBJ did, we have seen unemployment remain stable and in some cases get worse. We've seen poverty remain stable and in some cases get worse. And those numbers actually improved dramatically in the 60s and 70s. I mean, dramatically. Black poverty fell, black unemployment fell, and then along came Reagan, and it has been flat. I mean, you can just look at the graphs.
Actually, I disagree with you, Tom. One of the
I can quote you the numbers.
Black entrepreneurship was during the Reagan years. Now, my understanding was that you wanted to discuss the legacy of Martin Luther King. I was unaware that we was going to compare and contrast economic policies of previous presidents.
So what's his legacy in your mind? We have a minute.
Well, I mean, obviously, from the conversation that we are having now, it seems like there needs to be there's lots of work that needs to be done. And Martin Luther King's legacy will forever live. I mean, there's peace, there's courage, the dare to dream, to go from rags to riches and to arise from the chasm of hate and racial bigotry, to bridging that divide, to serving one another.
I don't see him as a rags to riches guy. He was, when he was shot, he was asking for janitors to be able to unionize. That's not riches.
Well, I'm saying that it inspires anyone to go from rags to riches, to know that, one person, if they believe in their heart that they can change the world, then they can do it. They can be whatever they want to be. Okay. And that varies from, whatever your economic status may currently be. If you're poor, if you're middle class, you can. I got it.
Demetrius, I'm sorry, we're out of time, but Demetrius Minor, DemetriusSpeaks.com is the website. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.